all of us have witnessed and all of us are aware about the impact the COVID-19 crisis had all over the world. And to throw some more light across various parameters and across various trends, International Labour Organization has recently come up with a very important report, that is the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022. So hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you in the today's daily current affairs session on EduTap, and today we will be discussing the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022 report. So before beginning the session, if you are new to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us, and you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of the sessions. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. So now let's move on to the session. Let's get started. And here you can see whenever you are covering any report, the very first thing we always tell you that you are required to cover the releasing body. So when we talk about the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022, it has been released by International Labour Organization. And when we talk about this report, this report examines the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis on the various global and regional trends. And these trends are like employment, unemployment, labor force participation, job quality, informal employment, and etc. And apart from that, this report also gives us a comprehensive assessment about how the labor market recovery is unfolding across the world in response to the different measures which are being taken by the countries across the world. Apart from that, this report is also going to tell us that about various patterns across the world, about the different economic sectors, how they are performing and how badly they were hit. So all of this we are going to discuss in our today's session of the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022. So now let's move on to the key findings, and in the key findings I have divided all these key findings in some various heads so that it will be really very easy for all of you to retain all this data and to figure out that what exactly which figure was related to which parameter. And here the very first thing is the increased unemployment. So when we talk about this report states that the global unemployment for year 2022 is being estimated at 207 million. And I want to tell you that this particular data was 186 million in 2019, and now it has increased by 21 million to 207 million for year 2022. So that shows that how exactly this COVID-19 crisis, what exactly was the impact of COVID-19 crisis all over the world in terms of unemployment. From the unemployment, when we talk about the labor force participation, then this report states that the 40 million people will no longer be participating in the global labor force in year 2022. And the global working hours in 2022 will be almost 2% below their pre-pandemic level. For example, if there were 100 hours of work in year 2019, that is just before the COVID-19 pandemic, and now we will be only having 98 hours, that is 2% less than this particular value. And you know that this 2% is equivalent to 52 million full-time jobs. That is the loss of these 52 million full-time jobs. And we all know that the loss of jobs relates and results into the poverty, and this is our next very much important parameter, as this report also states that there was an addition of 30 million adults into the poverty in year 2020, and these 30 million adults have fell into extreme poverty. So that means that this COVID-19 pandemic has pushed a lot of people into the extreme poverty, and that is really a very stark reality. And one thing I want to add here, that this particular report also says that all these parameters, all these things, still we are not that much positive about the upcoming trends for year 2023. And what is the reason behind that? Because the track of this pandemic is still uncertain, that which path it is going to take, because we all know that one day or another we are facing and we are having some different new variants of this COVID-19 pandemic. For example, we had a Delta variant, now we are having Omicron, and in some part of the country we are also having a Delta Cross. So we don't know what exactly is going to be the track of this particular COVID-19 pandemic, and that is why all these findings as well as the forecast for year 2023 are very fragile. And now when we move on to some other important part, that is the sectors which have been mostly impacted, then these are the travel and tourism sectors, which have been very badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. But still there were some sectors which have thrived, and we all know what exactly it is. It is the sector of information and technology. As we all know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of things got digitized, and that was the reason that there was a thriving force in this information technology sector. As we all know that education also becomes online. We also started doing work from home. Now whoever have thought that in year 2019 and 2020 we are going to have this long period of work from home. So that was the major reason behind that why exactly this particular sector has thrived. Now when we talk about the impact of this COVID-19 pandemic on the employment related to women, then once again they were the soft targets, as this particular COVID-19 crisis has hit the women workforce more as compared to men, and this is really likely to continue in the upcoming years as well. From the women, when we talk about the impact of this COVID-19 crisis on the young population, then this report says that the closing of the education and training institutions is going to have a very long-term implications for the young people. And we all know that the education has turned into digital education. See, everything we are now having online classes, and also you are also having this online class. So what exactly about those people who are not having the access to the internet? See, this digital divide between these two populations, it is really going to increase, and it is really going to have a long-term implications in the upcoming generations. Now when we talk about some other important findings, for example the impact across the world, then this report says that the lower and middle income countries were highly impacted as compared to the high income countries. And what was the reason behind that? See, these lower and middle income countries are not having much more access to the vaccines, and also there is a very less scope that they can make some changes in their budgets in order to have access to those particular infrastructure as well as the vaccines. And that is the reason that all these regions have faced severe downside risk. And when we talk about the key labor market indicators, then across all these regions which have been mentioned here, these indicators are yet to return to the pre-pandemic levels. Okay. So I hope that this particular part is very much clear. Now when we talk about the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on the temporary workers, then this report says that all these temporary workers have lost their jobs since the inception of the crisis. But apart from that, many new temporary jobs have also been added and created since the inception of the pandemic. And when we talk about the suggestions that this particular report gives in order to improve the quality of life of the people, as well as to improve these parameters which are related to unemployment, as well as these impacts across different sectors as well as regions, that this report says that in order to get out from this crisis situation, there is a need for a broad-based labor market recovery, and this recovery must be human-centered, inclusive, sustainable, and resilient. So my dear learners, see, from this particular report, there is a very high probability that an objective question can come. But you can also, if a question is being asked in the exam in the descriptive part that what exactly was the impact of COVID-19 crisis on the different parameters in which you were required to discuss this part, then you can also use the findings of this report as a further material which is really going to complement your answers from the exam point of view. Now let us move on to the very first practice question, which is based on this report, in which you are required to identify the correct statements in relation with the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022, and here you are required and here you are required to identify the correct statement. And here when we talk about the very first statement, it says that it has been released by the Labor Bureau, but we all know that it has been released by International Labour Organization, so that is the reason that this particular very first statement will become incorrect. Now moving towards the next statement, it says that the global unemployment is projected to stand at 207 million in year 2022. So this particular statement is correct as per our today's discussion. And when we talk about the third statement, it says that it estimates that in 2020 an additional 30 million adults fell into the extreme poverty, and that particular statement is also correct. So the right answer for this question will be option D, that is both statement 2 and 3 are correct. So that's how you are required to remember all these parts. See, we have witnessed such kind of questions and paragraph based questions in the RBI Grade B Officer prelims as well, and this was also the trend which was seen in the NABARD exam. So that is why you are required to practice such kind of questions, and for that all these particular reports are required to be covered comprehensively from the exam point of view. So now when we talk about the googly question from our today's session, then today the googly question is on a NEET initiative. See, this is once again a very important initiative which was being taken, and I have already done a detailed session on this particular part. You can go through that, and in this particular question you are required to identify the correct statements in relation with this NEET initiative and then tell me the right answer in the comment section below. And when we talk about the homework question from our previous session, it was that with which one of the following ministries has signed an MOU with IGNOU in order to link the vocational education and training with the higher education, and the right answer for this particular question is the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And when we talk about the homework question for this particular session, then this is with which one of the following countries India has recently agreed to initiate a joint research and development on green fuels including the green hydrogen. And here you are just required to identify the name of the country with which this particular agreement has been signed, whether it is Denmark, Sri Lanka, Japan, South Korea or UK. Do answer this question in the comment section below. So when we talk about the star performers from our previous session, then these are Yukti Gupta and Mintu Kumar. A huge round of applause for these two people because they have really invested their time in finding out the answer that I have asked in my previous session. And if you also want your name to be mentioned here, then kindly answer the homework question and googly question in the comment section below, and I am going to give your names in my upcoming session. And there is a good news for all of you. For celebrating 5 years of our trust, my dear learners, we are offering 45 plus 5% off on all our courses. And what just you are required to do? You are just required to use the code 5 years while purchasing the course from the portal. And please make sure that this particular code is only valid till from 19th Jan to 23rd of Jan 2022. So I hope that this session was really fruitful and useful to all of you. If you have any queries, you can drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and you can also call us at 814-620-7241. So thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.